Okay, it's June 2012. We're in Naperville, Illinois, and I am here with a Naperville resident and homeowner who has refused a smart meter from being installed on her home. So can you tell us what happened when the UPA installer arrived at your home the other day?
Sure. I saw his truck pull up. He put up the orange cones right in front of my house. He went to the neighbors next door to me and probably installed a smart meter on their house. And at this time, I had kind of been waiting for him to knock on my door because I had to put my kids upstairs for their nap. But I was waiting, and he knocked on the door. I said, "Are you here to install a smart meter?" He said, "Yes." I said, "I'm refusing the installation of a smart meter." And he took the note down in his handheld device, and he said, "Just so you know, you're going to need to deal with the City of Naperville. You know, you're going to end up with some new meter because these meters are now garbage, quote unquote." And
he said garbage? He
said garbage.
Okay.
He said they will no longer be used. So he said, depending on what happens with the lawsuit, you know, you will end up somehow with a new meter. But the lawsuit will determine, you know, when.
And he brought the lawsuit up, not you?
He did.
Okay.
I was just refusing my smart meter. And the only question I really asked him was, how many times do you go to a house before, if someone's not home, before you stop trying to install a smart meter? And he said 3 times. So
how did you feel about the anticipation of UPA coming to your house?
I was nervous. I had locked both of my gates on each side of my yard. I had a no trespassing sign on the gate, and I was glad that I was home when he arrived, because I didn't know what would happen if I hadn't been home to refuse the smart meter.
Mm-hmm. And you had mentioned something about your children, and you have small children at home. You had to adjust your schedule based on the timing that he arrived?
Right. I would have liked to have, after lunch, played in the backyard for a few minutes, but I felt like I had to wait in the front by my door and play in the living room until he arrived and knocked on my door so that I could, you know, refuse in person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So after the installer left your house, then what happened?
Well, I watched to see where he would go, because I knew that my neighbor a few doors down wasn't home, and that family had asked me to refuse the smart meter for them.
So how did you arrange that with that neighbor?
Well, they posted a power of attorney letter in their window. They had written my name on it, and after he went to my first neighbor's house, I saw that he had visited my neighbor's house with the letter. So I approached him. He had just been speaking with the neighbor on the corner, and I said, "I'm here to refuse a smart meter for my neighbor here in this house we're standing in front of." And he said, "That's not going to happen, because I need to hear the refusal from the individuals themselves. You can't refuse for somebody else." And I said, "Okay, but there's a letter of attorney, a power of attorney letter in their window, and my name's written on it, and I could, you know, provide that proof for you." And he said, "I've been instructed to speak with the individual in person, and if they're not home, this person's house has a gate on it, it has a lock on it, and we're not supposed to pay attention to any signs, whether it says no trespassing or do not install smart meters. We're only supposed to speak to the people to hear the refusal, and if they're not home, you know, we come back 3 times. If the gate's locked, which it is, then we have to come back. So we'll probably be back the next day or later this week," he said. And, you know, during this conversation, the neighbor on the corner came and joined our conversation because he had just refused receiving a smart meter. And he said, "So let me get this straight. If I wasn't home, then there would be a smart meter on my house right now. Is that correct?" And he said, "Yeah. The only thing that keeps us from installing a smart meter, unless someone refuses in person, is a locked gate or a really vicious dog." So, you know, with that answer, the neighbor, he pretty much sighed and looked really disappointed that that was his answer.
Did the installer mention anything else about the signs that were posted at your property or any other of the properties that people that are refusing the installation?
Yeah, at my neighbor's house, with the letter in the window with the power of attorney and my name listed in there, he said that he can't use that. He said somebody from Naperville Smart Meter Awareness posted a sign on somebody's window without their authorization.
And did he say that somebody was actually arrested?
He said somebody was actually arrested for that.
And do you know that to be true?
I do not, and I haven't heard it in the news, nor have I heard it from the organization themselves or anybody, any of my neighbors, anyone in the community.
So how does this make you feel knowing that your house is pretty much surrounded by smart meters at this point?
I'm not happy. There's a smart meter facing my house on the one end where my bedroom is, and I feel like if our town had more knowledge about what's going on, if the city council were to inform the city and its residents to a greater degree, then more people would refuse.